Okay.
Okay, we're ready to begin. Good morning, everyone. My name is Shelley Goldberg, and I'm the president of the Sun City Computer Club. And this is our second meeting on a Thursday. We started last month. We had a very good attendance last month. This month, the weather didn't cooperate so well. But I guess that's to be expected. Woodstock Willie did see his shadow, so I guess they said we're in for a little bit more winter. So in any case, we're in for a treat. We've got a really good presentation for you folks today. So let's begin with the meeting. As usual, what we normally do is we go over our financial report, talk a little bit about membership and the computer club, our computer club classes, and since this meeting is open to the entire community, we talk about some community things, and then we go on to a feature presentation, which today is from the Northwestern Wellness Center here at Sun City, and it's on health and technology. Looking at our financial statement, the treasurer's report, this hasn't been changing much recently from month to month, so it is just a little bit of change from one month to the next. But shows our the financial reserves, the unallocated available cash, the equipment inventory is pretty much the same, and our donations to the Grafton Food Pantry, which now is $128. That's just reflecting January of from last month, and that will increase as the year progresses. Our membership is now up to 1,695, close to 1,700, and this is as of yesterday. And so we continue to grow, and that's usually the case right up until the end of the fiscal year at the end of June. And as everyone here knows, we are now meeting on the second Thursday of each month. So the next meeting will be Thursday, March 12th, and then Thursday, April 9th, and continuing in that vein through the rest of 2020. And here's a little cartoon. Wanted to wish everyone a happy Valentine's Day, which is tomorrow. Now, Computer Lab is open on, it's 3 days a week. It's on Mondays and Thursdays in the morning from 9 a.m. to noon, and on Tuesdays in the evening from 5:30 to 8:30. We are closed today or any day that we have our major presentation as we're doing on the second Thursday of each month. So, and as always, always remember to bring in your passwords. Sometimes people forget their passwords, and it's difficult to help you with your issues on your computer if you don't have your passwords with you. So try to bring those with, and always check the mailings that we send out for our class schedules and any announcements that we do make. We have two subgroups. The Sun City Photography Group meets on the first Wednesday of each month at 7 o'clock. We're on winter recess right now. The official meetings will be resuming on April the 1st. The Apple Group meets twice a month on the second and fourth Tuesdays, and that's at 9 o'clock in the morning. We have a pretty complete class schedule. On the screen right now is a list of the classes for February, and Ralph Wiz will talk about our class schedule.
Thank you, Shelley. Classes have been going very well. We've been averaging somewhat more this year than we did last year, and appreciate people coming and wanting to learn more about how to use computers. If you can see up there, there's one class we're having tonight. Everything else will be coming out on email this weekend from Dave. But just want you to remind you that tonight at 7 o'clock is an Android class. And you can see I'm not going to go through all of them. You can see what's up there. And of course, like I say, Saturday, you'll get the notification of everything but the Android class. But I've got a couple of questions. By show of hands, how many people would be interested in learning more about solar panels? About 5, maybe 5. We're going to deviate just a little bit from the normal schedule, and next month in March, I believe it's March the 17th, and you'll be hearing more about it next month. We're going to offer a class on solar panels. It's not a sales program, not at all. What Kevin's going to do is have a spreadsheet, and you'll be able to put that on your computer and take it home and put in your figures to see if there's anything that makes it advantageous or disadvantageous, which means you don't want it, for you to put them on your house. So it's just, there's a lot of people that are looking at it. I know the school is putting them on, and people are knocking on doors. So this gives you a little bit better idea of whether it would work for you. The other thing I'm kind of looking forward to maybe offering, once again, by show of hands, how many people would be interested in a class on how to print your own greeting cards? Looks like about 12. I'm going to try to set up a class that won't be in February, probably won't be even in March, maybe April or May, on printing your own Hallmark greeting cards. And you can do it for about 10 cents a card. And they're a little more expensive than when you go out to buy them. So, and if there's anyone out there that feels like they know more than your neighbor about any type of subject, let me know, because we're looking for additional instructors. We're looking for different subjects, and we can continually be doing phones and doing office suite and things like that. But maybe there's some other subjects as we're expanding in phones and computers, then different programs. We would like to offer programs with this ahead of the curve, and put it that way. I mean, many of the things we're offering has been out there for years and years, but not everybody knows everything. So keep watching the schedule, keep coming to the classes, and that'll keep us excited, so we'll continue to do it. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Ralph. And if anybody was here, we did have one class. It was an Android class that was the schedule got a little bit mixed up, and we had people show up, and we didn't have the class actually that day. So we do apologize for that, but we do have a lot more Android classes and all these other classes as well. Okay, going on to community matters. The next Sun City Board meeting is on Wednesday, February 26th at 9 o'clock, and that is now moved to the Birch Room. As I understand it, tomorrow's Valentine's Day, and they say if you wear red to the fitness center tomorrow or to any of the classes, you're supposed to get a free gift. Not sure what that is or how many people are going to be getting it, but if you're going to do that, you probably want to do it early. And then also tomorrow, if you haven't yet gotten tickets, there's a Valentine's Day dinner, dancing, and show. It starts at 5 o'clock with dinner and all, and that's $40. You can get tickets for that at the CAM desk. On Thursday, February 27th, there's the Meteors are doing a rock and roll concert, and all that's available through the CAM desk, which is now open. And if you haven't seen the new digital posters that they have there, the digital screens, the posters are all digitized now, so it's kind of neat. Okay, and then with that, I will introduce our feature presenters from our own Sun City Wellness Center, the Northwestern Wellness Center. We have Jenna and Stephanie Rico, and they will talk about health and technology.
Okay, hi guys, thanks for having us. We are from the Wellness Center down the hall, if you are familiar with us. We are from Northwestern Medicine, and I am Jenna.
My name is Stephanie. I'm the team lead here at the Wellness Center, so you might have seen me before.
So we will go ahead and get started on health and technology. So for today's objectives, we do want you to have a little bit of increased knowledge about overall technology, as well as understanding different types of technology, and we'll go over some different kinds today. Be able to compare products if you are interested in some of the products that we do talk about, how to make those right choices, what's good for you, as well as understand how technology can maintain or improve your overall wellness. So what exactly is wellness? It is the active process of becoming aware and maintaining those choices towards healthy and fulfilling life. So whatever that means to you. We are also going to be looking at some products, how it can maintain or improve your overall wellness. So maybe looking at some of those illnesses or chronic diseases that you may have and how to kind of monitor or improve those.
For the background, so over 3.8 billion people use the internet today, which is a lot. That's about 40% of the world's population. About 8 billion devices will be connected to the internet by the end of 2020. If you think about it, that is a ton. And more than 570 new websites are created every minute as we speak. Alrighty. So you might ask, what's the connection between wellness and technology? So technology gives us a sense of connectedness by allowing us to connect with family members, friends that live in other states by using social media such as Facebook and other social media networks, which Jenna will talk more about that in a little bit. And they help us monitor and manage chronic conditions. There's a lot of wearables that you can purchase nowadays that can help you keep track of that, such as your vitals, blood sugar levels, all of that good stuff. And they assist in improving overall health and wellness.
So we will go ahead and start with social media. So anything that you've maybe heard of or been a little bit familiar, we'll kind of dive into. Like the first one being Facebook. So if you do have a Facebook or you're just kind of aware that family members have Facebook, you can stay connected. You can see what people are doing. People can upload pictures and talk about what's going on. Maybe, hey, I just had a baby, or hey, I got married this weekend. It is kind of important to be able to connect with those that are not maybe necessarily in this state, other friends and family members that have moved on to maybe Florida or just maybe a little bit farther away that you can't see every weekend. You can also do things like message, so you can message those people through that platform, as well as kind of video call. A lot of people, if they are out of state or they maybe are a little bit more international, you can still use those features without getting those high fees like you would from your cell phone. There is also Instagram, so if you don't necessarily want to read about somebody's day, you can kind of scroll through Instagram and just see pictures. So again, pretty important when it comes to your family members, people having marriages or babies. You do want to stay connected and see maybe those family members throughout that process. Again, it's a lot simple to use. You're just kind of scrolling through and you're able to see those pictures rather than having those pictures maybe printed out and mailed to you. A longer process and a little bit more costly process as well. There are also various apps that you can use, such as FaceTime. Those are a little bit more compatible with like iPhones. However, if you don't have an iPhone, you can download simple apps and use them on your Android phone, as well as kind of your computer screens. And you're having the ability to virtually see those people in time, visually see what they're doing, and then talk. So, hey, let's just have a small conversation over the camera. That way I can actually see you and have that connection versus just kind of picking up the phone and talking to them in that way. There are ways to kind of spice up your conversation. So I know some people are like, oh, I'm just going to text. It's a little bit easier. However, we can spice it up a little bit rather than, have you ever gotten a text and you're like, are they mad at me? What does this mean? Or okay, what does okay mean? You can add things like Bitmojis or emojis, some simple pictures that kind of make the conversation a little bit more user-friendly. You can interpret what they're meaning because it is kind of hard to decipher what somebody is referring to with a simple text, with how you're reading it or how you're interpreting it. You can also send pictures, so if that's something of interest, hey, look at what I'm doing. Sending a picture rather than, oh, I'm at the mall. Sending, hey, I saw this and I want to buy it for you because I'm thinking of you, that type of thing. Again, it's just another way to feel a little bit more connected to those people that you might not have easy access to, that are kind of long distance or that you don't get to see as often as you may want to. As well as some of these do kind of improve that feeling of connection by, if you want to think of it as, you know, I am a little bit more isolated. I'm not as social maybe. I know you guys are all a little bit more social out here, but for those people that aren't able to kind of go out to all these fun dances and concerts that you guys do have so often, it is kind of a good way to feel that connection and social. If you're not able to kind of do some of those things as often as you would like, you can still stay connected with those friends and family.
All right. With voice assistance devices, I like to think of those as home personal assistants because they have a lot of fun functions. Some of those devices are the popular Alexa, Siri, Google Now, and Cortana. So they're very useful because they can help you, play music while you're at home and you're cooking and you want to play something and you can just tell Alexa, hey, play some music, and they'll do that for you. They can help you answer questions that you may have. You can just ask a question and it will give you the answer. It gives you weather updates. If you're feeling a little down and you need a joke, they can tell you a joke. They can help control and connect to other devices. So I was reading an article and it was very interesting because it talked about a time where somebody was in an emergency situation at home. They were all alone and the person was able to say, like, Alexa, call 911, and since it was connected to her phone, it was able to call, for help. And that's important because a lot of times when you're home, what if you fall and there's nobody else to help you? Well, if you have this type of system, it can essentially be life-saving per se. So you can do your research and see which one fits your needs, so you can purchase the one that you would like. And it has voice commands, so now with phones, we can just tell it what we want in a text and it will do that for you.
Okay, we'll move on to wearables. So I know some people are a little bit more familiar with wearables. If you're not, then maybe this is kind of a little bit something to get your interest. Wearables are devices that can track things. So anything like the Fitbits, there's some Samsung ones, there's if you're more familiar with like the Apple Watch ones, there's a bunch of different brands that you can get, but it's essentially ways to track things. So anything from looking at your heart rate, you can press a button and it'll track your heart rate right then and there, rather than taking it manually. It can also track your steps. So if you are trying to get a little bit more active, I have a goal of 10,000 steps a day. It's going to record those in real time. Okay, by the end of the day, you know what? I have been a little bit more sedentary. I need to get more moving by the end of today. Looking at sleep, if it is of concern for you, I know this was a little bit more of a concern for me. I wasn't sleeping normal. I was waking up in the middle of the night, but I wasn't really aware of when I was or how long. So I do use my Apple Watch to track my sleep, just to become a little bit more aware and how I can fix that. It can also track your workouts. So again, if you are leaning towards more of a goal, I want to lose some weight or I want to be a little bit more active, this is something that can track those workouts to kind of see where you are progressing. Or if you do have a goal, I need to burn X amount of calories today. Okay, let's track the workout. This is how many I burned at the end of my workout. Some do track your food intake, or you can kind of do it manually. A lot of them do link pretty nicely with those Androids or iPhones, so you can kind of put the two devices together. You're going to track your workouts on your watch. You're going to track your food intake on your phone. And then it's all in a really nice platform, easy to see. You can look at it daily or like a monthly view if you want to do that. Some are waterproof, so I know you guys do have a really nice pool here. So if you want to do those water aerobic workouts, you can definitely track your workouts still in the pool if it is a waterproof type of wearable. As well as some do kind of set those goal suggestions based on your current activity. So as you're starting to use your wearable, it will know what your normal activity level is. Towards the middle of the day or maybe the end of the day, it will kind of alert you, hey, this has been a little bit slower of a day. It's time to get moving. It's another form of motivation to work towards those goals if you are trying to be a little bit more physically active throughout the day. There are also relaxer reminders. So again, if somebody is having a goal, you know, I need to decrease my stress and anxiety. I really need to kind of calm down a little bit. There are reminders that do kind of set for deep breathing, and the watch itself will kind of vibrate on you. So it'll have almost a minute alarm clock of how long you need to deep breathe. You can set it for 3 minutes if you want. And it'll vibrate, okay, deep breathe in. And it'll slowly release that vibration. Okay, now you should be exhaling. So it is a cool feature, not only just for fitness or for nutrition, but it can work on other goals such as relaxing, decreasing that anxiety, things like that. And then some wearables you can also do like texting and call features. So again, it is linked to your phone. So if you don't maybe have your phone on you and you're in the grocery store and you want to call your husband, hey, come pick me up, I'm at the front door. Right? Oops, I don't have my phone on me, but now I do have my wearable, and you can use those features if it's of interest to you. So there are some breakdowns of different products. So again, if you are considering some of these wearables, I do say try to do as much research as possible because there are various brands as well as various functions for each wearable, and they do come at completely different costs. There are a little bit of cheaper options for you, as well as there are some wearables in the $400 and $500. So if you don't want all those features, don't get that big of a product as if you only need it for minor things like heart rates and stepping. There are wearables that just do that tracking versus there are wearables that do everything like the call features, the waterproof features. So it is kind of breaking it down, what is important to you and working towards what goals do I have, what type of wearable is important for me. Another quick breakdown of different products. So you do see some of them look a little bit similar, some are a little bit more slim, as well as there are a little bit more of bigger wearables. So again, looking at what's important. Do you want a bigger screen so you can see some of those things, or are you just focused on tracking one or two things and you don't need as big of a bulky screen on your wrist? So again, looking at what it's tracking and the size of it, some people do want more of a slimmer option or a bigger option of a wearable.
So electronic medical records, why are they important? Well, they have a lot of benefits. One of them is better health care. It improves all aspects of patient care, including safety, effectiveness, patient-centeredness, health communication, patient education, timeliness, efficiency, and equity. It also helps promote better health by encouraging healthier lifestyles in the entire population, including increased physical activity, better nutrition, avoidance of behavioral risk, and wider use of preventative care. Also, it helps improve efficiencies and lower healthcare costs by promoting preventative medicine and improve coordination of healthcare services, and by reducing waste and redundant and costly tests that may be very costly to you. How many of you are Northwestern Medicine patients, or okay, are you all familiar with Epic? So one of the biggest things is that Northwestern Medicine is transitioning into the Epic electronic medical record, and that is amazing because it opens doors to other opportunities. By that I mean that in Epic, the system is able to flag certain medical records of patients that may qualify to participate in clinical trials downtown. So it gives you more opportunity to other different types of treatments that other healthcare systems may not offer, and that's essential. So Epic allows your doctors to access all of your medical records in all locations. So that means if you go to an outpatient clinic and if you go to the hospital, they should be able to all see the same records up to date. All the information should be complete, and your medical team will be more aware of everything that you've been going through medically. And this is also a secure way of sharing your information between clinicians. And one of the other things is that the goal is to streamline and standardize care across the entire healthcare system based on best practices in all possible areas. So that's one of the reasons why we're implementing Epic. How many of you have downloaded MyNM, which is an app that you can download if you are a Northwestern Medicine patient? Okay, awesome. So a few of you, which is nice. So this app is essential because it gives you a lot of great features, one of them being able to make appointments or request an appointment with a provider. You're also able to request medication refills. Sometimes, it might take a while to call the doctor's office. You have to wait to get a hold of the nurse. Well, this way, it's easier and more, accessible for you. You're able to find a doctor. You're able to find the nearest urgent care or immediate care clinic next to your hometown. You're able to pay a bill if you're looking to see what's going to your bill, and you can see that as well. You're able to view your patient plan after every medical visit. You're also able to see lab results. If you haven't heard from your doctor in a couple of days after having that blood draw and you're worried about those results, you can just log into your MyNM, and sometimes those results are available to you before the doctor even calls. So that can give you a sense of relief. Also, your vitals are recorded on there, and your health summary from your visit with your doctor is accessible to you as well.
Okay, next we're going to go ahead and look at medical IDs. So if you do have something that you are a little bit worried about, some of those chronic diseases, usually your doctor would recommend you getting a medical ID. There are two ways. So the first one that we will look at is on your phone. So if you do have an iPhone, this is easy to use as well as easy to kind of let people know that it's there. If you have an iPhone, you do need to have a password on it. It is just a safety feature. So if somebody were to unlock your phone, instead of putting in your password, you can just double click it and it will go to emergency. At the bottom of the screen, you will see an option that says medical ID. So if you look at that picture all the way to the right, the top does say medical ID. You would just swipe it and that person's medical ID will pop up. Again, this is pretty useful for maybe like significant others. What happens if you call 911 and the paramedics get there and they say, what medications and allergies does your significant have? You might know off the top of your head, you might not. However, this is a good way. Grab their phone, you can show them, you know what, this is the last time they had surgery, this is their allergies, this is any of their medical history that you need to be aware of, and it's just one step easier for those medical personnel. So you can download this, download any of the information by simply typing it in. Anything from medical notes that would be of importance. So like those past surgeries, any implants that you have, maybe pacemakers, things like that that would be important to know. You would also download or you would type in any allergic reactions that you have. So maybe some of those medications or maybe something else like you're just overall allergic to nuts or anything like that. Any reactions that you had. Maybe you did get a reaction from like penicillin. That is pretty important for a doctor to know. So they are not giving you products that have penicillin contained in that medication. You can also put down your medications as well as specific doses. So, hey, I do take this medication twice a day. This is the milligram. Those are things that you should know, but they are kind of hard to remember, all those medications and how much is the dosage and when do you take it. Your phone you can download all this stuff and make it pretty easy to read off rather than kind of remembering, or if you do go to a doctor, you don't have to bring that giant bag of pills. That way you're reading off to the doctor, right? a little bit more convenient. You can also put in your blood type, so some people do know their blood type. I suggest knowing it. If you do know it, sometimes you're like, wait, was I A positive or A negative? Again, just another way to keep track of it. You can also put down your current height and weight. So again, if you are, in an emergency situation, emergency personnel would need your height and weight to give that proper dosage for that emergency medication that they might be administering. As well as you can have your emergency contacts. So this is super useful. So something happens, you might need to call those emergency contacts. You can tell somebody next to you, hey, Stephanie, can you call my emergency contact? She can just click my phone really quick. There's gonna be, on mine it is my mother, my dad, and my brother, so she can just hit that call button and it's gonna immediately call my mom or dad, rather than kind of scrolling through somebody's phone, right? A little bit more useful. As well as you can put if you're a donor or not. So if you do pre-register for being a donor, it is a good function to have on there. It's automatically going to be linked to it. That way, if anything does happen, you do start that donation process right away. You can also become a donor just through this app. That's how I did it. It said, would you like to become a donor? Yes, I filled out all that proper information. And now my phone does, and my medical ID does have the ability to link to the information that has shown that, yes, I am a donor. If something were to happen, I do want to have that process started right away. Another form of medical IDs that we will look at are bracelets. So you may be familiar with them. I found it pretty interesting that they're not those big bulky bracelets they were back in the day. They're now really pretty actually. So you can have more of like a designer bracelet, or for men even, there are some nice looking maybe gold options or black silver or silver options rather than those big bulky ones that they used to have in the day. I would suggest getting a medical ID if you are somebody that has any chronic illness or any illness that is needed to be kind of out there in the open. God forbid something does happen to you. So anything like you are diabetic or do have some blood disorders, if you do have serious allergies, so again, those medication allergies or just, kind of those nuts allergies, any cardiac problems or like if you've had a stroke or heart attack in the past, as well as some asthma-like symptoms that you do have, so any of those COPD problems, what happens if something were to happen to you on your bracelet, it's going to notify emergency personnel, oh, they do have respiratory problems. As well as Alzheimer's or any memory impairment, blood thinners or anticoagulants that you might have or be on, any anemia problems, as well as breathing disorders, again, we did talk about that, epilepsy or seizures, as well as hearing or sight impaired even. So if you do have a hearing problem, again, those medical IDs can help somebody be a little bit more aware of that. Or any of the clinical trials. So Stephanie did mention that you can be a part of clinical trials. Some of those trials are good to be kind of out in the open. That way when it does come to kind of diagnosing some problems or working with something that is going on, they are aware that you are in a clinical trial. As well as any special needs or Tourette syndrome or just any of those rare diseases that a lot of people may or may not be a little bit more familiar with. So again, they can be a little bit cheaper of an option as well as a little bit more pricey of an option. But again, they have beautiful options rather than some of those bulky ones from back in the day. Okay.
Trackers and GPS systems are essential as they can help us find our devices, connect with, or even find people, friends, significant others, children's parents. So the picture over here in the bottom, it's called the Tile Bluetooth Tracker. It helps locate your keys, phones, pets, which is funny, bags, toys, and much more. So if you tend to lose your keys very often, maybe this can be something very useful for you. Now the other two pictures on the right-hand side are some GPS tracking devices. So these devices are called Angel Sons Wearables. It's a GPS tracking device that was developed for kids with autism. The parents are able to essentially put like a GPS, it's a wearable GPS shirt that they can, purchase for their kids. And this essentially can be applicable to grandchildren. If your grandchildren have autism, then this could be a great way as a safety feature. And then the one on the other left is a wearable GPS sleeve that they can put in their pocket. Another one is the SmartSole GPS enabled insoles. So these essentially are more for young adults and teens, again with autism and developmental disabilities, individuals suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia, and anyone else that could potentially wander or become lost. So these are very useful. And I believe the SmartSole is about $299 with $5 shipping. So you can do your research and see essentially what product is more useful for you. Alrighty, there's a lot of detectors for the home that are very useful. One of them is the smart humidifiers, the air quality detectors, sleep detectors, Ring doorbell. The Ring doorbell is a very unique one. I actually have that one at home. It's one of those systems that connects with your Wi-Fi network, and they're able to gives you notifications on the spot when somebody goes, in front of your house. You can check on your phone and see, hey, like I just got a notification, who's, there when I'm not home. Sometimes you can check if your packages have arrived on time, and just to see what's going on when you get notifications. And it can be like a security video surveillance feature.
All right, next we'll go ahead and talk about the health apps. So we will kind of break down some of these products with other apps that you can download. But if you do have an iPhone, these apps are automatically on your phone already. So anything that looks at your activity. So again, if you don't want a wearable, you can track your activity just on your iPhone. It's automatically already there. You can also track your sleep. I will say this is not as accurate as like a wearable will be, because your phone is kind of next to you rather than a wearable is connected. It's feeling your heart rate specifically. This one is a little bit more inaccurate, but again, if it's at a baseline, you just kind of want to know when you're sleeping, when you're awake. If you're awake during the middle of the night, it is something that you can look at. As well as there is mindfulness on your phone already. So those deep breathing, those meditations, all that stuff that we want to work on for decreasing our stress and anxiety automatically is on your phone. As well as there's some nutrition apps. So again, you can physically track what you are eating and look at your calorie intake directly on your phone rather than kind of downloading a separate app. But we will go over some of these options specifically if you don't have an iPhone. So the first one is fitness. So again, think about your goals. Are you wanting to maybe get a little bit stronger of muscles, tone up your body, maybe lose some weight a little bit? Whatever your goals may be, there are apps out there that can help you attain those goals. Anything from Map My Run. So if you are not wanting to run, that's totally okay. You can use this as a walking device. So you guys do have beautiful grounds here. If you want to say, you know what, I want to be able to walk 1-2 miles, whatever it is, each day. You can go ahead and keep your, you can connect it to your wearables, as well as you can just kind of keep your phone on you, walk around the grounds. Oh, great, start it and stop it. Looks like I did 1.2 miles today. Sometimes that is a little bit more useful if you are working towards a goal. I want to be able to walk 2 miles. So you do kind of want to track that progress and work up to that goal. There are also other apps, so anything from like Fitness Buddy, Fitbod is the picture next to the Map My Run app, as well as Fitometry. Those are apps that can target certain muscle groups. So this app actually is like a personal trainer just at the touch of a button. So you can actually say, hey, I want to be able to work on my upper body strength, or I want to be able to work on my lower body strength. Or just say I have access to a gym, and it'll give you exact workouts that you can do that do have those weight machines or those cardio machines, or you can customize it. I do not have access to a gym. It will give you workouts that are able to be achieved just in your own home. So a lot of those free body movements, or a lot of those cardio type of activities without the use of a treadmill or an elliptical, things like that. So it is kind of useful for some people. It does give a good breakdown of each exercise as well. So if you aren't as familiar with some of those machines and how to use them properly, it will show you proper form. It will show you suggestions on how many reps and how many sets, and you can kind of customize the weight based on if you are doing pretty well or you need to kind of lower it. It is a little bit too hard for you. So a couple options out there for you.
Alrighty. We also are going to be talking about nutrition. So there are a ton of complimentary or free apps that you can download on your smartphone. One of them that we're going to talk about is very popular. It's great. It's called MyFitnessPal. It's essentially very easy to track your food and your meals, and it also gives you the opportunity to scan the food label instead of inputting all the data yourself. So a lot of apps can keep track and manage your food intolerance as well. So if you have a lot of problems with certain foods, but you're not sure which one it is, well, there are some apps that can help you with that as well. We have a brief video that we're going to show, and it'll focus on how to essentially use the MyFitnessPal. The other app that you can use for calorie count is called MyPlate Calorie Counter. But for today, we're going to focus on the MyFitnessPal since it's very user-friendly and it's a free app as well.
MyFitnessPal is a free calorie counting and weight management program that makes it fast and easy to track your calories and lose weight. Anyone can lose weight if they have the right tools and the right support system. Medical studies show that keeping a food journal doubles your weight loss. But most people believe they don't have the time to keep track of their food and exercise. MyFitnessPal has solved that problem. On your computer or on your favorite mobile device, MyFitnessPal makes tracking your food and exercise incredibly fast and easy. The more you use MyFitnessPal, the faster it is to record your food, because we remember the foods you eat and make it incredibly easy to never miss logging a meal. We'll use our iPhone app to show you how fast and easy the program is. MyFitnessPal looks a little different on the web and other smartphones, but the tools all work the same way. Let's say you're logging your lunch and that you've been using MyFitnessPal for a few days. From the first time you use MyFitnessPal, we remember the foods you add to your diary. So it takes no time at all to add the same foods again later. Your favorite foods are right there waiting for you, and foods you haven't logged are just a few keystrokes away. Most regular users of MyFitnessPal can log a meal in less than a minute. Here's how you might log a lunch of an egg salad sandwich from Starbucks, an apple, a glass of milk, and a packet of cookies. On the diary page, tap Add, then select Lunch. Let's start by searching our database for the egg salad sandwich. The database is full of brand names, so you can find exactly what you're looking for. To search, just tap the search area and type a keyword or two. In this case, we'll type Starbucks, egg, and salad. Then tap the search button. There's exactly the item we were looking for. Just tap it, and tap the Add button, and the sandwich is now in our lunch diary. But logging food can be even faster than that. Because we know we'll be adding 3 more items to the lunch, we can use multi-add to save even more time. Begin by tapping Add and selecting Lunch. But now tap Multi-Add. Checkboxes appear next to the remembered foods in our list, and we can select more than one food at a time. If you often eat an apple, you'll find apple listed in your frequent foods. Tap the checkbox next to apple in the frequent list. If you haven't been drinking milk frequently, but you had a glass of milk a few days ago, milk will be in your recent food list. Tap Recent, then tap the check mark next to milk. 4 of our apps even have a barcode scanning feature, which can make scanning new foods unbelievably easy. Just tap the barcode icon next to the search area, line up the barcode with the rear camera of your phone or tablet, and the app will automatically show you the matching result. Just tap the check button to confirm the cookies we just found. Finally, tap the Add Checked Items button, and the apple, milk, and cookies are logged to your lunch all at once. Your remaining calories for the day are updated, and that's it. There are other time-saving features for you to use as well. The meals feature lets you combine items that you typically eat together. So if you eat cereal with milk and half a banana for breakfast, you can save that set of foods and log them again later with a single tap. The recipes feature lets you easily capture your homemade recipes and then log a single serving of a larger recipe when you record your meal. You've seen that getting started is fast and easy, but if you need help sticking to your goals, don't worry. We have millions of users in our online community who can help you stay on track. Post questions on our message boards, or introduce yourself to users near you or with similar interests. Connecting with other users on the MyFitnessPal website will keep you motivated like nothing else. And several of our apps even let you stay in contact with your friends wherever you go. We've helped millions of users already, and we're ready to help you. Download the MyFitnessPal app right away and log your first meal. There is no faster, easier way to track your eating and exercise and lose weight.
Okay, so a lot of times you don't necessarily need to use this app to lose weight. It can be a way to keep track of what you're eating to help manage your chronic condition like diabetes and hypertension.
All right, so we'll go ahead and move on to sleep. So how many people are feeling rested and get a great night's sleep every night? Only a couple, maybe? Okay. So tracking your sleep might be a little bit useful, especially when you do have those appointments with the doctor. How are you sleeping? Do you actually know how many hours of night's sleep you're actually getting? Are you waking up in the middle of the night? Does it seem like you're only up for 5 minutes, but in reality you might be up for like a half hour, an hour? Some of these apps can be a little bit more helpful kind of to start that process of tracking. After you track it, you can maybe adjust things. Do you need to do something a little bit differently before you go to sleep to make sure you are actually rested, staying asleep throughout the night? Or is it something more serious, like a doctor does need to kind of adjust those medications, or maybe taking a little bit less or a different time of the day? There could be a million possibilities of why you're not sleeping. Anything from like setting sleep goals. So if you are somebody that kind of is up late watching TV all night or reading, and then you look at the clock, oh my gosh, it's 11 o'clock at night, where did the time go? You can set sleep goals on your phone. So any of those phones that do have the alarm clock do have the sleep goal option. So if you want to say, you know what, I need 8 hours of sleep and I usually get up in the morning at 7 a.m. You can set certain sleep goals where it will notify you, hey, you know what, it's 9 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock, you should be kind of unwinding and getting ready for bed. Just more of an alert saying, oh, okay, this is the time of night, I should kind of stop what I'm doing and prep myself for going to sleep. There are also other things that you can do, like Sleepwatch is an app that if you do have some of those wearables that does not necessarily track your sleep, you can download the app that is called Sleepwatch, and it connects to your wearable as well as to your phone, and then it can track your sleep through that way. Again, you do need to kind of wear your wearable throughout the night for it to track. There are also other various apps that you can use. But overall, any app is going to look pretty similar to the picture over on the right. That is what the Sleepwatch app looks like. So again, like I did mention, that is a wearable as well as your phone. It will break down things, anything from have you hit your goal? You did get X amount of sleep. It will also break down if you are getting more of a restful sleep versus a light sleep. So if you are getting more of a light sleep, that's not necessarily as good. We want you to get that restful sleep, that deep sleep. That's the one that's going to be important to you. It can also track your heart rate. So again, if somebody is kind of experiencing a little bit more stress or anxiety, their heart rate is going to be a little bit higher while they're sleeping. Again, this is important information to know. We don't want your heart rate exceeding. We want it kind of lower in that relaxation mode during the night, because you want to give your heart a little bit of a rest throughout the day. It also does track other things like what your sleep zones were at. So again, kind of playing with the app, looking at what's important for you. What type of things do you want to track specifically? But there are a bunch of various brand names, watches that will do this, as well as just those apps if your wearables or your phones don't automatically do that for you.
All right, now on to financials. So there are a lot of applications that you can use to help manage your finances. Things probably looked a little bit different after you retire. You have more time. So this can essentially help you keep track of that busy life, you know. So a lot of times you can connect. They can help you keep like your monthly budget, make sure you're making payments on time, and some of the most common apps. One of them is like the Mint budgeting app, and what's the other one? I think it's called Digit. So they can help you keep track of that. And I know sometimes you're like, oh, I don't need it, but just an extra support would be ideal if you need it.
Okay, so next we'll go ahead and look at meditation. So I do kind of mention a lot of stress and anxiety, right? We obviously know that we need to be physically active. We obviously know that we need to kind of eat those well-balanced meals, so looking at nutrition. Your stress is obviously just as important. So some of these apps can kind of help you reach those goals of decreasing stress and just feeling a little bit more relaxed throughout the day. Deep breathing and meditation is found to improve your focus as well as your overall mood, having more self-compassion, working on those relationships, as well as looking at kind of the aggression, the anxiety, the stress, all that stuff. There are a bunch of different apps that you can download, again, for free. Some of these, like Mind and Body Calm, I have those ones on my phone. They will actually walk you through a deep breathing exercise as well as some meditation exercises. If you do have yoga, again, you can download those apps to use that as a form of relaxation. There are also apps that kind of walk you through those types of exercises. Or if you're just somebody that kind of needs that white noise, or just, you know, oh, I love the sound of a waterfall or snow falling, there are some apps out there that have that background music. And then you can play it and kind of do your own deep breathing or meditation. But if you do need a little bit more of assistance, these are nice apps that kind of walk you throughout that process and really kind of teach you how to deep breathe and meditate and work on that stress. And the next one we'll look at is an app. So this is called Picnic. It's a great app for people that do need to kind of stay connected when it comes to organization. So you can connect with like a family member or spouse. Maybe you do have kids or grandkids that you kind of help get to soccer practice, or you need to babysit on the weekends, whatever it may be. This app is another way to stay connected. So you can link calendars. So if you do want to kind of connect to a significant other, or like I did mention, maybe like a family member that you are attending some doctor's appointments or recitals, things like that, you can put the events in your calendar, and then you can set reminders, maybe a half hour before that appointment or an hour before that appointment. It's going to alert your phone, oh my gosh, I forgot they have a doctor's appointment. Okay, I need to get ready and get out the door and head there. You can also set reminders. So again, those, hey, pick up so-and-so from dance class, whatever it may mean for you guys. You can also put in grocery lists. So have you ever kind of shopped for 2 people in the household, and what happens? You have your own list, maybe they have their list as well, and you come home and they're like, you didn't get my bananas or my milk, I told you, right? You guys can both access the same grocery list at the same time. So if I want to add kind of bananas and milks and eggs, and then somebody else wants to add cereal and chicken and steak, ultimately when you do go grocery shopping, that list is going to be combined. Another way to stay organized and kind of get everything that you do need to get. As well as there are meal and recipe options, so you can kind of scroll through some of those and they'll give you some fun recipes that you might try, as well as it automatically comes with a grocery list. So for this recipe, I do need X, X, and X. Okay, it makes it a lot simpler, right? You can add to-do lists. So again, those lovely chore lists. It's going to be linked to 2 people. So if the chore list has mow the lawn, take out the garbage, and clean the dishes, there really is no excuse. Hey, I said I was going to do this, and you said you were going to do these 2 chores. You can't really say, oh, I didn't know what the list was, right? You both have access to it. You can also link other fun things like photos. So again, if you are kind of connecting it with like family members, like kids or grandkids, and you do want to kind of upload pictures that everybody is able to see. You guys all went to a wedding this weekend and there were 20 people there, and you want to say, hey, I need those pictures. It's a way to easily upload them and everybody has access to them right away, rather than, hey, can you send me those pictures? Can you send me those pictures? There are also locators. So again, this is kind of useful maybe for parents who have kids. You can track them. You can turn that feature off, or you can kind of keep it on, especially if you are kind of worried about somebody that kind of does wander a little bit and doesn't stay as on task. If you are kind of concerned about that, it's a good feature. You can also have events or circles. Circles are something that you can connect to other people that have this app without directly connecting them. So I did mention how all those calendars and those grocery lists and all that stuff is going to maybe be linked to you and your significant other that share this app. You can also create circles with close friends. So if you do kind of go on those double dates often, right, you want to link to the circles, but you don't want them to necessarily have access to all of your things. Circles are a way to kind of connect. You can create dates and calendars. So again, you guys have a group trip coming up or a double date coming up, and you do kind of want everybody to make sure it's on their calendars, or create dates that work for everybody's schedule, or just, you do want to share those pictures in between those people. Circles are a great way to do it without kind of having them get access to all of your things.
We offer a lot of great screenings through the Wellness Center. One of them being the Heel Bone Density Screening, which we just had a couple months ago. That one essentially can be like a baseline, and it screens for osteoporosis. It is not the same as a bone density. That one is a little bit more intense, but the heel bone density is a good start to see what your T-score is, which can essentially assess your bone health. The other one is glucose screenings. We do those once a month, and it's to check your blood sugar level. So if you're not sure how your level is, but you want to get it checked, just come to the Wellness Center, and we can definitely help you with that. The other one is the Biodex Balance Screening. That is a type of screening that we use to assess fall risk. So we are having our fall prevention program in March, and this is one of the screenings that we will be offering complimentary to all of the participants to kind of assess your balance and see where it's at. And if you need to improve your balance, we can always refer you to PT or give you some exercises to do at home. We also we have the Tanita scale, which can help assess your body mass index. It'll take your weight, height, and it'll essentially give you like a printout, and it'll give you a number of calories that you should be eating a day per se, based on your weight and height and BMI. We also offer the blood pressure kiosk on a daily basis, or if you want us to take it manually, just stop in the Wellness Center and we can do that for you. We also offer quarterly CPR classes with certifications, and we just got new mannequins which show a little rate monitor where it shows if you have done the compression rate correctly. It'll light up green to say yes, you've done it correctly, or red, which means the compression isn't good enough and you need to probably do it again. And again, we are located here in the Prairie Lodge between the Fountain View Welcome Center and the Fitness Center, so stop in with any questions.
So if you are kind of managing your diabetes, they do offer some different devices that can kind of help you rather than kind of finger pricking yourself multiple times a day. It can be a little bit easier of an option. These look like the Dexcom as well as some other products. So essentially you're going to be having a device stuck into your arm. It is going to be kind of put there permanently. Again, you can remove it, not permanent, but it's going to be there throughout the day, monitoring your glucose those levels, rather than you always have to, okay, I just ate, I should check my levels, or it's the afternoon, I need to check the levels. 30.3 million people do have diabetes. That is about 1 in 10, so that's a pretty high number. So if you are one of those people that do fall into the categories, check out some of these devices that are making it a little bit easier to kind of manage that chronic disease. Again, lovely features of these devices, they are put into your arm and you either get a monitor and you can read the numbers right then and there. You can also link them to, again, those lovely wearables. Not every wearable is compatible, but most are, as well as your phone. So if you do kind of want to get those alerts on your phone, it will be, oh, my blood sugars are really low or they're really high. I'm off of the normal ranges that I should be. It's going to alert you a lot quicker than waiting for those symptoms that you know, oh, I guess I should check my numbers right now. Another great feature is that you can also link it with other people. So again, if you kind of want a significant other or maybe your kids to kind of help you monitoring that disease, you can give them access to this and they can kind of monitor those levels in assistance to you monitoring those levels. So something to look into if that is applicable for you.
Okay, moving on to fitness. So adults at any age require at least 2.5 hours or 150 minutes of moderate and intense physical activity each week. So if you work out 3 days a week, that would be ideal. And there's a lot of smart fitness devices that you can look into and do your research. One of them is the Smart Mirror, which it can essentially give you some exercises, and most of the time it'll be like live exercise, like if there is an exercise class going on, it will be live. And I don't know if you have heard, but Sun City is incorporating some video classes coming soon at the Meadowview Lodge. And I believe it's for their cycling class. There'll be more details to come in March, but they're essentially moving into that video technology to help incorporate some of those exercises within a group and along for if you want to take that class by yourself, then you can do that as well. But if you're interested in that, talk to Kathy and she can give you more details, but she'll give out more information in March Lifestyle magazine, so keep an eye out for that.
All right, we'll go ahead and move to robotics. So sounds kind of silly, but robotics can be useful for certain peoples. The first one being, if you look this all the way to the left, it is a lawnmower. So it kind of goes throughout your grass by itself and it'll actually cut your grass. Again, maybe silly for some people, but some people that do have a little bit problems with mobility or kind of pushing those heavy lawnmowers, if you do have more of a smaller size grass, this might be a little bit of a beneficial option for you, having it do it for yourself rather than you kind of pushing that heavy mower. There are also iRobots Roombas, so if you are familiar with those options, they are little robots that vacuum your floor and carpet. So it will predetermine the area size you can set it to. It'll know where your furniture is, and it's automatically going to kind of vacuum your hardwood or your carpet for you. So you'll put it on its charger, and if you have company coming and you're busy cooking in the kitchen and you want it to just kind of go over your living room really quick, turn it on and it'll just do the work for you while you're doing something else. Again, maybe you do have a little bit more problems with mobility, or those heavy vacuums can kind of hurt your shoulders and your arms a little bit. The Jita is all the way to the right. So this is actually a robot that carries up to 44 pounds. So again, maybe something a little bit silly, but could be beneficial. So if you have problems with kind of lifting those heavy groceries, you can actually store all that stuff up to 44 pounds in that little blue robot, and it'll either take it to a certain destination, or it can actually carry up certain amount of stairs. So again, kind of silly, but kind of cool to look at. And then there are robotics surgeries, so I'll let Stephanie kind of dive into that one next.
All right. So the Mako robotic arm assist surgery is very unique. It's essentially the only one of its kind here within McHenry County, and this machine essentially is being utilized for hip and knee replacements. So back in the day, it was probably a more invasive surgery. But the benefit of this type of, by using the Mako robotic arm assist, you'll have a smaller incision, there'll be less scarring, reduced blood loss, and minimal hospitalization. So that means that you'll be there less days in the hospital. And the recovery time for knee and hip replacements, it'll improve it by 30% essentially. And it may extend to the mechanical life of the implant itself. If you're interested in learning more about this cutting edge equipment that's being conducted by our orthopedic surgeons here at Huntley, join us for a complimentary presentation. It'll be on March 19th from 5 to 6 p.m. and Dr. Brian Flanagan, he's an orthopedic surgeon, will be presenting and giving more information about that because I think it's essential for everybody to know. You may not need it, but you may know of a friend that needs to have a hip or knee replacement, and it's just important to give them that information.
All right, so lastly, we did talk about kind of the benefits of technology, like managing chronic illnesses or diseases, staying connected with socialization, as well as kind of maybe increasing those goals that you have, anything from like physical activity, like those fitness, nutrition, or kind of overall just behavioral health things that we want to improve. Final thoughts to think about, looking at, is the price worth it? So I did mention, and Stephanie mentioned, how some of these products a little bit are more on the expensive end. However, there are some free options like those apps or cheaper options. So looking at if the price is worth it, looking at your overall goals, what do you want to work on? Is it something fitness related, nutrition related, or is it just managing those chronic illnesses or diseases? Also looking at the connection with others. So if you are not happy with your social connection currently, maybe increasing it a little bit with those apps that we talked about, or kind of opening up some friendship or socialization circles. And then kind of keeping that accountability buddy, whether that accountability buddy is yourself or kind of like the MyFitnessPal, being connected with others just out in the community that have similar goals or interests. Accountability buddies can also increase your success. So thinking about if that is an option for you. They can also be anything from yourself, family members or friends, as well as your doctors, giving your doctors access to certain things like your sleep habits or like your nutrition logs or like your fitness logs. They can kind of manage those diseases a little bit better, as well as be a little bit more open on what is going on. Do we need to dive into something a little bit deeper? So things to think about. We've given you lots of options for apps and some things to try. Some might be a little bit more on the silly end, but really overall just think about what your goals are and how some of these products can maybe help you or improve those goals.
Yeah, so we thank you all for inviting us. It was very nice presenting for all of you, and we hope you found the information very helpful and useful. Thank you.
There's some questions, I'm sure. I'll start with one, and that is the list of capabilities in the wellness center. You listed bone density and a bunch of others. Which of those are for fee and which of those are free?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so all of the, so let's go back, let me see. So essentially, like if it's a lipid screening, that comes with a fee. If it's a CPR certification course, there'll be a fee because of the certification component. But other than that, we're always open for AED informational sessions for clubs, neighborhoods. Just reach out and we can provide that complimentary presentation for free.
So the bone density is free?
Yes, the heel bone density. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you mentioned about the Northwestern EPIC programs. How does that compare with the Porters that some of us have access to with our doctor and the office and that? How does EPIC compare to that?
So essentially, I would say all the information that is on EPIC, you should have access on your phone. By that I mean, like if you had a lab ordered and you are waiting on results, you should have access to that within the app because it's part of the same information that's contained in EPIC. So essentially, am I saying this right? Like the mobile app essentially is like a mobile portal for Epic.
Of your emergency medical records,
Yeah.
or your electronic medical records.
So, I'm going through a sleep study with Northwest. And I just went in to see the doctor recently and he couldn't find my sleep study. So I'm just wondering, on the Epic and the existing portals, are those going to be tied in together? And more importantly, I'm trying to get a sense if this could be downloaded, so I have my own list of things that were important to me that I'd like to share with future doctors that may not have access, because the medical information is really complicated to get through, who has what,
So if you think back, if you are a little bit familiar with Centegra, we were previously known as Centegra. We did have a merger, so now that's why we are Northwestern Medicine. Centegra did use a different portal, so electronic medical records. So when you're going to the doctor, they're charting on those things, they're looking at your files, those are all the portals. We are moving towards Epic, so different departments have different rollout dates for this Epic system. So right now, the primary care physicians have access to the Epic system. Soon, emergency departments will have access. Eventually, it is a long process, so eventually everybody will be on the same portal. And with that being said, you can actually connect it with other locations or hospitals. So like if Advocate or Sherman uses Epic, you can sign a consent saying, I want my doctors to be able to share information from Northwestern Medicine to Advocate. And if they are on the same system, all those doctors are going to have access to all your information. It is a little bit of a lengthy process since it is a different system completely, but eventually within the next couple months, every single doctor in the Northwestern Medicine field, so all those locations, all those specialties, all the emergency departments will be on the same portal. So stay tuned, it is a little bit of a process. And with that being said, the MyNM app that we did talk about, you should have access to all of those things. With that being said, again, previous things that have been done maybe through Centegra, they might not be automatically on that app since it is a different portal than what we used to use. So you might have hard copies and files from surgeries previous, like years before. Those necessarily are not going to be on there. However, once you download that app, once you're seeing doctors from Northwestern that are using the app or the Epic, it should translate pretty easily, if that makes sense.
We have a question back here.
Yes, how close do you have to be to elections in case of an emergency?
Can you repeat that?
How close do you have to be to Alexis, Alexa, or those recording devices in order for it to be effective if you have an emergency?
Sure. So you do want to kind of link it to your cell phone as well as your Wi-Fi. Alexas are within hearing ranges, okay? So some people have it maybe in their bedroom because they're listening to music late at night or whatever. Some people have it more in the kitchen or the basement when they're listening to music. You can unplug those Alexas or any other brands and move them to different locations of your house. However, keep in mind, if you are normally having it plugged in, maybe in the basement, if you're in the kitchen, is it necessarily going to hear you, Alexa? Maybe not. So I know some people that do use these kind of keep it in an open area like the living room where you can maybe hear it from upstairs as well as downstairs. Or thinking about kind of moving it. If you're not using it, you don't really need to move it around throughout the house all day. But if you are maybe going to the basement or up to the upper level, maybe think about moving it if you are planning on using it. Because she can't always hear throughout the house, right? She's an automatic, I call it she, like it's a person. This is a device that is going off of your voice command. So if it can't hear your voice, then it's not gonna do anything. It's not gonna kind of activate it. Mm-hmm.
Hello, thank you for pointing out my plate, although I wouldn't say that was particularly a healthy lunch that was described. I would just add that there are other apps that perhaps are easier to use and focus on whole food, plant-based. Dr. Michael Greger's app for the Daily Dozen is much easier to use. I'm sure there are others, but there are other apps, just to mention, other apps
Absolutely.
tracking food.
Yeah,
And
so-
the Daily Dozen with nutritionfacts.org is a real good one.
Awesome. So like we did mention, there are a million apps, anything from sleep to fitness to nutrition. So do your research. These are some of the common ones that people are more familiar with. But if there are specific things like that app, that's wonderful. Do your research and find certain apps. Maybe this app isn't what you like or it's not as user-friendly. There are a million options. A lot are very free or lower price. Or if they have like premier options, you might have to pay a little bit, but you're getting access to more of those functions within that app. So there are multiple options. Definitely keep in mind.
Well, we thank you very much, Jenna and Stephanie, for your presentation today. And those of us that are left, let's give them a round of applause. Lastly, if you noticed today, the visuals on the screen were much more clear and bright.
Yeah.
We have a new projector that the association has purchased and has put in this room, and therefore you're enjoying a lot better visual aid. Thank them at the community center or the various administrative offices if you like the change.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Yeah, we didn't even have to dim the lights for this time.